Hello and welcome into the latest episode of Pat's Latest. I'm your host, Mike Gambardella, and on today's episode, we dive into what further separates out Drake May from your standard fare young up-and-coming quarterback. Is there some drama potentially building within the wide receiver department for the New England Patriots with Stefon Diggs, the tried and true veteran, and Kyle Williams, the up-and-coming rookie on the scene? Obviously, Mike Vrabel brings the energy, but we take a further look at it and we'll call it a sleeper on the offensive line for the New England Patriots. Who could, well, he's going to make an impact. Could he do it this year? Before we get into everything, make sure you go down and subscribe for the channel, get in the comments, and let us know what you think about the development of Drake May and their wide receiver room with Stefon Diggs and Kyle Williams here in year one for both players in New England. Make sure you give us a like if you like what you hear, and make sure you go back and check out all of our old episodes so you can get caught up on everything happening in New England. We start, of course, with Drake May, and it will always start and end with him here for the New England Patriots. But some mildly surprising news considering he just got married a week and a half ago, and it won't be an extended honeymoon because he is already reporting to training camp here early this week. It will be all three quarterbacks for the New England Patriots, as Drake May will be joined by Josh Dobbs and Ben Wooldridge, as well as a slew of rehabilitating players, which will be among the first to report to Foxborough, as training camp is quickly sneaking up on us here. In just 5 days, we will have rookies reporting on the 19th and the rest of the team coming in on the 22nd. So we're finally through. The dark times are over, where it's literally that 5 weeks that Mike Vrabel talked about where nothing is happening with the team. The news is few and far between, but it is so important for these players to stay ready because this is what they've built towards. If they are at their peak physical condition right now, they're able to really hit the ground running, get into Vrabel's system, get into Josh McDaniels' playbook, and really be able to get everything that they need. And what they need is the ability to fire on all cylinders and have a chance to make some noise in the AFC East, chirp at the heels of the Buffalo Bills, and potentially have hopes of a playoff spot here in 2025. Additionally, looking over at those two wide receivers who are going to play such a big role for the Patriots, and it could go one of two ways. To be perfectly honest, it could be rookie drama and bringing in Kyle Williams, who will be fighting for a potential starting spot, and having someone like Stefon Diggs, who is an NFL alpha, your number one type wide receiver, but coming off a serious injury. We've already talked about how Drake May has had all of these potential starters together in the offseason and how they are coalescing. And in the latest video posted to social media, it was actually Stefon Diggs speaking with Kendrick Bourne, and it gave insight to the relationship between potentially the old vet and the young guy that could eventually take his spot. But I think for next year, it's two guys that will really be able to stretch the field both vertically and horizontally in that timing passing game here as well. Diggs went on to say that he actually does want to be a mentor for Kyle Williams and teach the rookie everything that is in his toolbox. And not just that he wants to give him, a wrench or a hammer here. He wants to give him the whole toolbox. He said, man to man, though, that's where you get money at. And I think he understands it as a profession, right? As a career. This isn't just, hey, if I give too many cards to this young guy, he's going to take my spot. I think he understands what it's going to take for this team to truly be successful, and that is having a plethora of wide receivers, of having at least 5 guys that could step onto the field, execute what Josh McDaniels needs to do, and then be able to execute it at a high level, and not just say, well, we don't have to worry as much about the 2 or 3 or 4 options on this team. Make sure we double cover Diggs. If Diggs gets these guys up to snuff, he's able to see more single coverage, which then benefits him in the long run as well. Again, let's hope that this continues. that Kyle Williams even comes close to scratching the surface of what Stefon Diggs was, and that we hope that Stefon Diggs returns to the form that we saw not too long ago that made him an all pro. We've talked at length about the Mike Vrabel energy, and the quote below from anyone who's seen uh, a very famous football movie of Remember the Titans of so you think football is fun, and at times it shouldn't be. It should be get down to business, cut off all of the nonsense, and make sure you are responsible for X and O. But at the time, when especially you are team building and creating a culture, it needs to be fun. And that's exactly what offensive lineman Leaden Robinson said about what Mike Vrabel has brought to this team. And his first quote was, "It's so fun." That's what he led with. He said that the energy that he brings to the team and just how he holds everyone accountable and just that he wants to turn everything around and he wants our team to be great. He's leading by example too. That's everything that encompasses what Mike Vrabel is. That's everything that's encompassed everything we've seen through OTAs. That's what we've seen in this dead period, and hopefully what we will continue to see what comes out of training camp, especially at the start here. Additionally, I think with the Patriots doing this off-season video series of Patriots on getting that real look at it of what's going on. It will be interesting to see if guys continue to stay with this and continue to have this energy and this exuberance and understanding that this sum is greater than the parts, right? That it's all about what's going into this whole of the football team. And yes, 90 guys are fighting for 53 spots, but by that 90 pushing 89, 87, 86, etc., that's going to make everything else better and actually give this team a chance. And I think that truly is what has been missing the past couple of years for the Patriots is that guys, you do your job, but if you're not having that accountability and doing that for everybody else, suddenly that little extra, that push doesn't shine through as much, and suddenly you are not coming near at the production level that everyone else is in the NFL. Now, there are many different ways to be successful, especially from a head coach perspective. And I think what Mike Vrabel does is different from what Mike Tomlin does, is different than what Pete Carroll does, etc., and go on and so forth. What Mike Vrabel's able to do and get this team in line, and can you have Josh McDaniels really be the sous chef, if you will, to this offense and let Drake May be Drake May? Maybe football at the end of the day will be really fun. And finally, we end here with looking at the future for the New England Patriots. And it starts with a third rounder, the center out of the University of Georgia, Jared Wilson. And this is a guy who was picked 77th overall. And I think should things have broken a little bit differently, if he didn't have an injury, if he played in the Senior Bowl, he only really had 1 year as a starter. This is a guy that probably could have been talked about as a late first rounder. You've seen it several times as, Tyler Linderbaum or whoever it is, those centers that you can really plug and play and say go, and be willing to give that 4 year contract and have that 5th year option of a guy that could potentially be an all pro. Why we're talking about Jared Wilson in this vein already is offensive line coach from UGA, Stacy Searles, has been there for 30 years. He's a 30-year coaching vet. He's seen it all. He's had 10 guys who have actually gone on to play in the NFL, and he has said that Jared Wilson is the most athletic of any of them. And at 6'3" and 310 pounds, and still running a 4.8 40, yeah, I think that lines up with what coach is saying. Now, again, he's behind the 8 ball because he started playing football late in his career. He had some injuries. He missed OTAs here as well, so he's behind the 8 ball with the Patriots. But again, I think bringing in Garrett Bradbury buys him some time to say, we're not worried about you stepping in to be the starting center right away. Now that gives him a chance to learn and experience and get things done at the NFL level. Not to say that he couldn't be able to do that right away, but you're going to benefit from a little bit of time. Now, also, should injury occur, you feel really good about the backup and about the future of what you have at the position. The last caveat of here is what we've talked about at the left guard position day in and day out for the past 2 months here and what the Patriots are doing. And I think especially with the retirement of Wes Schweitzer as well, it's become very clear that Cole Strange is going to get his starting spot back as long as he performs well enough to keep it. Now, who backs up that spot, I think is fair to ask. And I think with the size of Jared Wilson, the athleticism, and hopefully the tenacity as well, you could see him back up that spot too. And that would actually shine a light on why the Patriots have been hesitant to go after someone like Brandon Scherf as well, where you could say, hey, here's a $7 million contract, come in and be our guy and go. Now, yes, that would mean you're probably moving away from Cole Strange, and yeah, maybe you want to give it some time as well to see what you really do have in the can. But I think Jared Wilson is a guy that is going to come into play at one of those offensive interior spots. And I think someone that is going to be your long term center for a long time to come. That'll do it for us here on this episode of Pat's Latest. Make sure, again, you go down and subscribe for the channel. Get in the comments and let us know what you think about the offensive line, Mike Vrabel as we head into training camp, Stefon Diggs and the Kyle Williams dynamic, and what Drake May is going to mean for this team as just a second-year quarterback. Make sure you also give us a like if you like what you hear, and go back and check out all of our episodes. We are almost to training camp. We are so close, and we'll continue to have it all for you right here. Fight on, Foxborough.